07 is the legendary European downtempo pop group with releases spanning 3 decades. Beginning as T-Boys at a London recording studio, producers Henry Binns and Sam Hardeker began releasing their own pop-influenced electronica and ambient jazz. 07 continues to explore the likes of acid jazz, funk and laid-back soul as they expand their collection of enduring style and music worthwhile. You're tuned into Roots to Grooves.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Wrist Grooves.
Yes. Across from me is Jay Purcell. I am Jesse Quigley.
Yes.
Like Jay said, that makes us Roots to Grooves.
Yeah, we've, been gone for a little bit off camera, but no one would know because we keep busting out the episodes on a weekly.
Working hard behind the scenes.
Working hard behind the scenes, yeah. And
posting content.
Yes, becoming social media marketing managers.
Yes. And we're excited. The first episode in 2022 that we're recording.
Yeah.
This will come out in a couple of months. So hello, future people.
Hello, future people.
We're with you. We're right there with you. We love you.
Yeah, we've done a lot of great episodes, I think. It's a year, by the way, almost. I'll have to look up when our first episode dropped, but I think it was around February 2020.
Okay.
In the thick of COVID, or the second, or 20, was it? No, 2021. Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're in 2022 now. I was just having this conversation with someone because you know how everyone said 2020 wasn't a year?
Yeah.
And now we're in 22. I'm realizing that 21 was kind of a lost year as well, a little bit. But it wasn't really lost because, like, as I said, February, we dropped our first episode of Wrist Grooves. Pretty much did every week throughout the year. I missed a couple of weeks early on, but yeah,
we're proud of what we accomplished.
Yeah, and I want to thank the listeners out there because we do get we're getting consistently like 200 listeners a week.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah, and we're on YouTube as well. Excuse me, and yeah, this is good stuff. And then this week, talking about this group out of UK, 07.
Yes,
07.
So this is a cool group.
Yeah.
Henry Binns and Sam Hardeker.
Yeah.
They're the two main guys, I would say. And then it's a band with a little bit of a rotation of different vocalists and musicians. Would you say, is that fair?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I've seen them on stage with 7 or 8 people even.
Yeah.
And they've got drums.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, even acoustic guitar, a lot of their songs. They're chill wave. Maybe not chill wave, but down tempo.
Yeah.
Chill out type music.
Yeah, a lot of people call them like the original chill out, down tempo, lo-fi stuff in the early 2000s because their first album was 2001. So, damn.
But their music is quite timeless.
Yeah.
As I was listening.
Yeah.
It could have come out, stuff, for example, off their first album could have come out in the 70s almost. You could hear, something that sounds like, a lot of the music sounds kind of nostalgic, like it's coming from another time.
Yeah.
Or, it feels like memories when you listen to it.
Yeah.
And this seems consistent through a lot of different people who listen, and that's kind of what draws a lot of people to 07.
Yeah.
Is that kind of common thread of feeling of nostalgia and timelessness. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is really cool.
And a lot of nostalgia for me, particularly as well, because I discovered them in 2001.
So right when they were coming onto the scene.
Yeah, right when they dropped their first album, because it was kind of big in the UK. It was a mainstream release, and they're on TV all the time. Their singles were played on the radio. They're in the top 10, I think, maybe in the charts.
So they made some waves.
They might have got number 1, I think, for a little bit. Yeah, with a track with Sia. Sia being, people don't know, I think she's from Australia or New Zealand.
I think Australia, you're right. But she moved to the Europe.
Yeah, and she was like an early collaborator, and she was on this first album.
I mean, let's just stop right there.
But I'm getting ahead of myself.
That was one of the most amazing things because I mean, 2 things. I was at work one day, like years ago, and I recognized one of these songs. Okay. It was one of the tracks on the playlist.
Yeah.
And I was excited. I was always like doing my work. I was like, this is a good song. Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know who it was till years later, till now doing this research when you pointed out 07.
Damn.
Then second thing, I didn't realize Sia was their original singer.
Yeah.
The same Sia that we hear on the radio on these huge, EDM tracks.
Well, it was funny because when she started getting big again in America, she got big in America for a bit, and she's done like carpool karaoke. She's been on Ellen, like mainstream stuff.
Right.
But it was funny because I think she had this whole look where she had this wig where she was hiding half of her face, kind of like a Lady Gaga type thing.
Yeah.
And I randomly watched the video today. She was on Ellen, and they were going to do the big reveal of her face kind of thing, and I was like, wait a minute, like when she was getting big, a few years ago, I don't know how long ago it was. That stuff was maybe 2-3 years ago or something like that, or longer.
Yeah. In the past.
But I was like, is that the Sia from 07? Like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And sure enough, it is. And I thought it was kind of funny that her whole kind of shtick a little bit was about hiding her face, but like 20 years ago, she was out there in the open in the UK performing and on all these TV shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was like,
her career is a little bit of a backwards thing because she stepped out of the spotlight being the main vocalist for 07. I mean, their first like 3 albums. And then she wanted to do her own thing. And so she started, and it was a little slower going as a complete solo artist, but then she got some fame in her own right.
Right.
And became pretty popular in different genres of music. And then got popular. So her face was being plastered everywhere. She was hiding it. But she was, on screens. And everyone was knowing who she was at least.
Which is something that was interesting as well, because I think some of the people that I looked at some old interviews with Sia from like 10, 15 years ago before she got big in America. And some of the people commenting on there were like, oh yeah, she's a true artist. Like she's not, her current image is like a pop star sort of thing. And she's really sort of not milking it, but she's sort of doing it on purpose, I think, for a bit of an image play and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think she just found herself in this situation, and now she's just kind of riding this wave. She's like, I didn't ask for this, but here I am. I'm just going to keep going with the flow. Yeah,
but then the stuff she was talking about, like way back in the day, was like really about the music and the artistry and stuff like that, and people will recognize it. I think people that have gone back in time to see her old interviews realize that. And yeah, again, this is what she was doing with 07 and like back in the day. And
which is super cool to see. This to me, it was, just kind of wild to see, like, wow, that Sia was in 07 in this cool band doing singer-songwriter stuff, and nobody knew who she was. I don't know, just a cool story. So that's what was what excited me while I was doing this research was a couple of these little tidbits. I knew some of the music from before. I didn't know who it was. Didn't realize Sia was part of this band. So yeah, a lot of fun checking out 07.
Definitely,
It was fun to learn about them. A lot of cool stuff. They're groovy. They're chill. Just real good music.
They've been described as trip hop, electronica, downtempo, acid jazz, ambient, chill out. For me, I thought that there's definitely some parallels with Air, the French band.
I was going to bring that up too.
On the first few albums at least, some very particular tracks for me that sound like Air.
Really similar in that timelessness feel and kind of chill but groovy feel. So awesome.
And I also thought maybe there might be a little bit of a parallel with Men I Trust, maybe. And a group we did a episode on. I
could definitely that chillness and the softness and the intimacy. I could definitely see parallels there.
So I mean, what we said, Henry Binns and Sam Hardeker are the two guys.
So let's back it up a little bit. See where these guys came from. They were friends in Camden. Is that in the UK or where is that?
So like a area of London. I don't know.
Jay's our personal UK geography expert.
Trying to translate into American terms, like if you think of New York and you think of Manhattan, and all these different areas, like Camden is an area in London. And I spent a lot of time out there. It used to be, I played some shows in Camden as well, actually.
Oh, nice.
With my band. And it's changed a lot, actually. When I was there, and probably when these guys were kicking around, it was a lot more genuine in terms of like the music scene and the culture scene that was happening there, sort of thing.
Artists were more organic. What would you say?
Like it was definitely like the area of London to go, and you could find a music club any night of the week, and you'd find some bands playing there. Indie bands from London and from outside of London. Like a lot of people did their early years performing in a lot of venues in Camden. And like, I think about 4 years ago or less when I went back there, it didn't have that same vibe anymore. It seemed more touristy now, more, I think it's the same with any like sort of area of a city that can become gentrified, right? The price is raised, so the people that are there creating the music move out to other areas that are cheaper and stuff like that. So,
and it's a shell of what it was.
Kind of, yeah. But these guys were living there, and it's fun. I think like Henry made a comment about him knowing Sam as a kid, but then I watched an interview with Sam, and he was asked how they met, and he couldn't remember. He was sort of like, he was really like struggling hard to think. But the one thing he did remember, he said he was in Camden, and they at that time still knew a lot of mutual friends and stuff like that.
Right.
And he said one day he was just walking down the street. Henry was coming towards him, and he was wearing these big orange headphones, is what Sam remembered.
So this must have been like early 90s?
Mid
90s,
yeah.
A few years before they got started.
Yeah. And and Henry was like, took his headphones off and was like, here, listen to this. And Sam said it was just like some old soul track. He couldn't remember the name of it or whatever.
Yeah. I think I saw that interview too. I think he mentioned the Weather Report.
Yeah.
As one act that they were into.
Yeah. He said like after that moment, they decided to hang out a lot more.
It wasn't for a few years until they actually started making music. Is that right?
Yeah. So still in these days, they were just...
they were interested, they were intrigued, and they had these ideas kind of flowing. But once they met, it took a couple of years or a few years for them to actually start making beats and putting together music.
Yeah, I think like Sam was maybe more of a music appreciator, more coming at it from a DJ standpoint and sampling.
Right.
With really like primitive gear back in that time. He said Henry would come over and they'd just basically get stoned, and Sam would play vinyl records. And it would be like Herbie Hancock or Weather Report.
Nice. Herbie.
Yeah, Sam said he would borrow these records from like some older guy that he knew that was into this stuff. And basically Sam's thing was he was trying to listen for breaks and beats that he could like sample. And he said like when he got into some of the harder like prog jazz fusion-y stuff that like Henry would lose patience and like leave kind of thing because he wasn't into it. He was like more into like old soul type stuff and all that kind of thing. But then I think like they sort of did that for a while, but then they kind of didn't really see each other for a while after that. But there was a point when Henry got a job in a big commercial recording studio.
Right.
And he randomly called up Sam one day and said, I know like we have a job here available, like it's like an engineer assistant sort of thing. And I know you're interested. Like, you know, are you interested? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, heck yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
that studio was Mickey Most's.
Right. I haven't heard of Mickey Most.
Yeah,
but,
Mickey Most. You know, sounds like Mickey Mouse. Obviously, I guess it's a play on Mickey Mouse. Mickey Most's. Yeah, I don't know. I wrote this R-A-K.
R-A-K?
Yeah, Mickey Most, R-A-K. I don't know. Recording studio in London. But anyway.
Mickey Most Rack.
Yeah.
R-A-K Studios.
Yeah, you see that too?
Oh, I guess maybe they it got renamed at a certain point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's now called Rack Studios. Still exists. Looks like it was founded in 1976 by Mickey Most, who was a record producer. He worked with the Animals, Jeff Beck, Donovan, Susie Quattro, Kim Wilde. Yeah.
Some big cats.
Yeah.
So as far as I saw, they started working at this place, and were they both T-boys?
I think
at the very beginning, they started kind of at a lowly job, is what I picked up.
I don't really know exactly what they did there. If they were like helping engineers.
I got the impression they started kind of as T-boys, or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
And then started producing because they were obviously interested in music, and they, I don't know, built a relationship with their fellow cohorts and associates, and they were allowed to start working on projects and with musicians and artists.
Yeah, I do know, like Sam said that he said it was a big commercial studio, so they'd have a whole range of different things that would come through there. Like so he said some days it would be recording like a small orchestra for something. The other times it would be people coming in to overdub stuff on records that they're finishing. Other times it would be big projects like for like 6 to 8 months, like recording an entire album.
I had a couple notes, like they're working on strings of well-known British musicians like Pet Shop Boys,
right? Yeah,
Robert Plant,
yeah,
of that one band.
Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, they had some success.
I hear they were popular.
Yeah. Yeah, so they were basically honing in their production skills and getting a lot of real good hands-on experience with real artists and real professionals.
Yeah.
And
Brian Eno, I think Sam said he was in a session where Brian Eno was working in the studio. And yeah, Sam said it was like, like you're saying, it's great because they were basically in the corner of the room and wouldn't talk.
Yeah, like fly on the wall.
Fly on the wall.
Watching legends like, you know.
And then they only do anything if they were asked to do something for their job or whatever. And
Tea.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the tea?
Yeah. But yeah, like he said, it was Sam said it was really good to see how all these musicians were working together. How like from everything from the collaboration to the arguments, like they saw it all.
Like seeing how the sausage is made. Like this is how you go from nothing to a great record.
Yeah,
Beautiful stuff.
And then so you know, they were still friends, obviously working in the same place, Henry and Sam. And basically, when the studio was empty, it wasn't booked. They would go in and mess around with the gear. Back then, we're talking like late 90s. So it was like when these old Akai samplers were out. I had one a long time ago. I figured out how to use it just a little bit, and then it got stolen when someone broke into my house and stuff. But
Blasted.
But it was basically, I'll put an image on the screen right now. I can't remember the model make, but I'll find it and it will be on the screen right now. But basically it was this rack-mounted Akai sampler unit.
I see.
Yeah, you see, it has all the buttons on it. It's like a little LED screen.
Yeah, that's cool.
Man, we have to get a TV in here so I can actually show you as I'm talking.
Yeah.
But it was weird. It was like, it's a very complicated, clunky thing. But it's a sampler, so basically you can record sounds into it. You can plug like a MIDI keyboard into it, and then you can map the sound the same way as you do now in like whatever, Ableton, Logic, and all that sort of thing.
Right.
But it was like, back then it was hardware. They also had this one called Atari, which was a rack-mounted thing as well, but you plugged it into an external computer monitor and it had like a bigger screen that you could use for editing samples and stuff like that. And
it was the same company as Atari. Didn't they make like games, video games?
Yeah,
same company.
Yeah.
Technology company.
Same, I think it was a computer, so yeah.
I mean,
mostly used for games, but then also early music sampling.
Nice.
Yeah, so
good for them.
Yeah, and that's basically what these guys were doing. They were like, you know, they were bringing in old records, they were sampling, they were making loops, they were like figuring out how to use the gear. And they said they made some like early like house dance music tracks and stuff like that. They said some of it was like they thought sounding pretty good, but they didn't have any confidence to like really share it. They said at one point they made 50 white label vinyls, which is back in the day when you make the vinyl with just literally a white label on it, no information, hand it out to DJs and stuff. He said, Sam said they only gave 2 away, and he still has like 40
he
something.
Still has some?
Yeah. Back in 2006 he did. So,
okay. Man.
But yeah, that was like, it was funny. Like they didn't have any confidence in what they were doing.
No conviction.
No conviction. Yeah, which is I thought was. Well, I think they had the conviction to like do stuff, right? But they didn't have the faith. Still a conviction in putting out the music, right?
To share it and
stuff like that.
That's a big step.
Yeah.
I mean, these were kids. They're pretty young.
Yeah.
Like late teens or early 20s.
Yeah.
When
it's true. Yeah.
When they're getting this experience, basically. So.
Yeah. But it was through this process of working in the studio and messing around with the stuff and making a few tracks that a few friends and friends of friends have heard. Somehow they were asked to remix a Radiohead track from Karma Police, the Karma Police album.
Who asked them?
I mean, I don't know about this. I don't know. But
they were somewhat unknown people at this time.
Yeah,
they didn't have a big name for themselves.
No, they were just, in the studio, obviously.
Not even under the name 07, just these 2 guys, Harry and Sam.
Yeah. And actually, I think they said they took a vacation somewhere and they were staying at this resort that was called Sierra Siete. And so when they did the Radiohead remix, they had to have a name for who remixed it. And then they chose 07. And then they just stuck with it, apparently, which is where the name comes from.
It was 07's the name of a nightclub.
Right, okay, yeah.
In Honduras.
In Honduras. Okay,
is that the same?
Yeah.
So I mean, let's fast forward. They got their name. They got asked to do this remix.
Yeah.
Should we play the remix? Should we hear that?
Yeah,
Let's
I want to.
And then we'll get into 07's own material.
Absolutely.
So let's give a listen to this awesome Radiohead remix that they were asked to do.
So this is technically, I think, their first official release, minus the white label vinyls that came out. But this came out for real to the public. Remix of Climbing Up the Walls from Radiohead. There you go. Climbing Up the Walls by Radiohead, a remix by 07. Pretty much the first official release from 07. And it was out in 97, around the same time the album came out off of OK Computer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard that. That was great.
Yeah.
Awesome remix.
Yeah.
So you can see how they add that chillability.
Yeah, and it was funny. I think Sam said like they made it and they didn't really know what it was. They were like, "We don't even know what this is. We can't classify this." Like,
Yeah, what genre is it?
Yeah, and people started playing it though, and were into it. You know, I think obviously like a lot of DJs knew about it because I think back then like it's a weird time. I don't think they really do it this much anymore with like big artists would have remixes done of their tracks. And some of them would appear as like B-sides on singles. Some would just be released strictly to DJs. And I think it was a way to sort of like, for like an indie band like Oasis to get into the clubs. Mm-hmm. Instead of playing the track straight outright, they'd play a remix of it.
Right.
Hoping that people might be like, oh, what's the original? And then
connect the dots.
Yeah.
No, it's a little marketing action there.
Yeah, but I don't know if that really happens anymore. Maybe a little bit, but not in the same grand scale. I don't know.
Not the same as back then when that was like the only option to market.
Yeah.
Not everybody had a phone screen in their pocket.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Couldn't get the word out that quick.
Yeah.
So the clubs,
the
front lines.
The front lines, yeah.
You know, to get the word out.
Yeah.
So awesome. So that came out, what year was that?
97.
Okay.
And then that, it kind of led them to do about, I think they said they only did like 5 remixes total. But off of the back of that one, they were asked to do other ones. Like, I think Lenny Kravitz, people asked them to redo a track of his as well.
Got you.
So yeah, they were kind of like the remix kings for a little bit. Like,
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And then they go, they come out with their first EP. That's just titled EP.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In 1999.
Yeah.
And that was a handful. There was only a handful of copies made.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Probably like 20.
Yeah.
Or 50 or something like that. And I guess they sold out.
Right.
In a matter of days.
Yeah.
So their marketing strategy is working.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah.
And that you got anything else on that EP?
No, just the fact that I think they were starting to make their own music around this time. Like, they didn't want to just keep doing the remixes. Mm-hmm. They wanted to do their own stuff, and it kind of manifested. Like, basically, the first album, Simple Things, they said it kind of fell together because it was basically a combination of like 2 separate EPs that they put out.
Okay.
And then they put those together and sort of fleshed them out a bit more and added a couple of other songs. And yeah, so like a lot of those tracks that are on those first EPs are on this album, probably slightly changed a little bit.
On which album?
Remixed on Simple Things.
On Simple, okay. Got you. So that's the story on EP2.
Yeah, as well, yeah.
Basically, they're just coming out with all these singles. They're building music, creating stuff.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get it released. So they released EP1 in 1999, EP2 in 2000?
Yeah.
Or so?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Somewhere in between 99 and 2001, obviously.
Yeah.
And then it brings us to Simple Things, their debut full-length album in 2001.
Yeah.
So that's really great. That's turns out where the song comes from that I first heard 07.
Right, okay.
So that's exciting. It was their first album.
Yeah.
A collection of laid-back soul, acid jazz, funk. Yeah, these guys are funky. I don't know if that's been said too, but we said groovy, but I would add a little funk in there too.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, chill funk. And they had collaborators with respected vocalists like Moses.
Yeah.
I'm not really familiar with, but Sia.
Yeah.
Sophia Barker.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff. I mean, great.
Yeah.
Do we want to play a track off that right now?
Yeah.
I think we have one loaded up. I'll tell you the quick little story. This is when I was as a busser at a fine dining restaurant, and they would play this on the playlist, and I'd just be bussing tables, working, put my head down, and this song would come on, offer a little glimmer of hope to get through the day.
And it's called In the Waiting Line, right?
An
apt title.
There we go.
things to me. Do you believe in what you see? There doesn't seem to be anybody else who agrees with me. Do you believe in what you see? Motionless sweet, nothing is real. Wasting my time in the waiting line. Do you believe in what you see? 9 to 5, living life every day, stealing time. Everyone's taking everything they can, everything they can. Everyone's taking everything they can, everything they can. Do you believe what you feel? There doesn't seem to be anybody else who agrees with me. Do you believe what you see? Motionless sweet, nothing is real. Wasting my time in the waiting line. Do you believe in what you see? And I'll shout, I'll scream, but I'd rather not be seen. And I'll hide away for another day. Do you believe what you see? Motionless sweet, nothing is real. Wasting my time in the waiting line. Do you believe in what you see? Everyone's saying different things to me, different things to me. Everyone's saying different things to me, different things to me. Everyone's saying different things to me, different things to me. Everyone's saying different things to me, different things to me. Everyone's saying different things to me, different things to me. Everyone's taking everything they can, everything they can. Everyone's taking everything they can, everything they can. And everyone's saying different things to me, different things to me.
In the waiting line from 07 from their debut album Simple Things.
So you can hear Sia's beautiful voice.
Not on that.
That's not Sia?
No.
Oh, who's that?
That's what I thought as well. It's an artist called Sophie Barker.
Oh, that's Sophie Barker.
That's Sophie Barker,
Well, Sophie
yeah.
Barker's beautiful
Yeah.
voice. I mean,
Yeah, I mean when it came out, I thought it was Sia on every track, but it
Yeah.
because back then, not like now on Spotify where you can see the featured artists. Like you just have the back of the CD case with the names of the tracks,
Right.
And they wouldn't always call out who's
the
on there.
features and stuff.
Yeah, unless you open the little booklet and go
And
through it.
dig
like,
in.
back in the day.
Yeah. That was fun though.
Yeah. And I remember that like we talk about nostalgia for me for this album. Like I remember I was working my first ever job in London, and it was like an office job. It was this little production company, and sometimes we'd play like music like loud. And so on my lunch break, I went to like the local record store, bought like a few different records and CDs, and one of them was 07, and like I started bumping it like on the speakers in the office.
Nice.
Like, and reminds me of that time, this album a lot, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Again, like you said, nostalgia.
Yeah.
It hits. It seems to be a pretty consistent thing throughout, and you could hear it on just how chill and nice sounding. Their music sounds like a memory.
Yeah.
Kind of when you listen to it.
It's a nice way to say something about music. I haven't heard that. Sounds like a memory. Like that.
You know, as a compliment. In a good way.
Of course. Yeah.
Not in a bad.
Like a traumatic memory.
Yeah. Your music sounds like a memory. That I can't remember.
Exactly. Yeah. Although music can do that, though, if you. That's the thing, right? The same smells, colors, music, sounds can remind you of anything, good or bad.
Yeah.
But
hopefully,
for the most part, we hope the music is a memory of a fond time, a nostalgic time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, you could hear from that song we played how delicate and intimate the music is. Most of the music's like that.
Yeah.
Whether it's Radiohead remix.
Yeah.
Think of these words.
Right. Yeah.
Or if it's their own material. And that's kind of one of the consistent things. They got this groovy bass, these solid drum track, just sounded real pretty, and just getting that groove down and just sucks you in.
Yeah.
And then just takes you away.
Definitely, yeah.
So good stuff. The whole album's like that. That's probably maybe my favorite album of theirs.
Yeah.
And maybe even one of their highlights of their career.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe that's going too far because they have a lot of good stuff, but a great place to start if you want to listen to 07.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next album. You got anything else?
I have more to say, but I'll loop back.
This either way. This album is
throughout.
Either way.
The interesting thing about their collaborations is they don't try to force it. Like they said that, for example, like with Sia, I'm not sure how they met her, actually. I think it was through some mutual friends or something at the time. 'Cause she wasn't like famous or anything. She was, just out there singing, trying to meet people and stuff.
And she
in
just
London.
moved from Australia.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So who was she? That is interesting. I didn't find any specifics on that, but...
Yeah, I don't know her backstory, so that'd be interesting. But basically, like, they were saying, they'd try out lots of different singers on lots of different tracks, and sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't work. They said sometimes they'll just play a lot of stuff to singers, and they would be like not into it, wouldn't work, or they would cherry pick. And they said that's kind of what happened with Sia. Sam said she was kind of like a hurricane when she like comes into the studio, because she's kind of like a bit high energy type person, and,
right?
But very confident. And he said that she was just basically like, play me what you got, and it was like, I like this, and this, like this, start recording kind of thing, and then she'd figure out like melodies and things like that, or using melodies that they've already written. And so that one of the tracks, like I think it was Destiny or something like that, which is the big track that Sia's on from that album.
Oh, right.
Apparently had someone else completely on it before it, and it wasn't working for them. And it was one of the tracks that Sia picked to do something on, and it just worked. And like, she ended up being on a few tracks from that album. Like,
that's because basically 07 was featuring Sia and these other vocalists.
Yeah.
She wasn't technically a part of the group.
No, although she did go on tour with them.
But I mean,
on
just
that first album, and that,
like by what do you call it? By proxy, she became part of the group because she was so involved with the band over 3 consecutive albums.
Yeah. Because we see this a lot with we've talked about Jazzanova and Bonobo as on previous episodes, and both of those artists have had multiple different vocalists featured on the album. But of course, when you go on tour, you can't really have all of those people on tour with you because they're doing their own things or whatever and stuff like that. So I know, like with Jazzanova, they found one guy that could kind of approximate all of the features, which is crazy. Like his voice was sort of fit every song, even though the album had different people on those songs. And with Bonobo, I think it was the same. There was like the singer that went on tour with them was on a few tracks, but obviously Bonobo also had Erykah Badu on a track, and other people, they couldn't go on tour.
Right.
But I think with Sia and 07 at that time, they were both on the come up, as you would say, sort of thing. And so the opportunity to tour and this album coming out kind of thing, like, Yeah, and you know, back in that time, all the promo stuff, they were photographed as a band, and Sia was in the photos and stuff like that. Yeah, with a couple of other members that were just band members, sort of thing. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like just about the collaboration thing, it was just that's the thing is they're they're open. They're not pushy. They also say that they're like worried about asking certain people later on in their career, assuming that they would say no for some reason or something. But it's kind of the way they've worked with these collaborations. But they basically, the reason they wanted the collaborations is they didn't just want to do instrumental music. They wanted to make songs, and that's like where, you know, why they started songwriting.
But neither Harry Binns or Sam Hardeker were like vocalists.
No,
really, you know, like from the beginning, they were teenagers, just fell in love with music. Yeah, slowly over time, got good at producing, and they were never artists. No, they were never singers. No. But like you said, that's a cool part of the story. They want to create songs, so they have to find a way. How bring some people in to do what we can't do, or we can't think. We think we can't do it. Turns out. At least they both sing in the band later on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure if Sam does, but Henry definitely. At least sang, for sure, Henry. Yeah. And you know, doing strong lead vocals, which is pretty cool to see. Yeah. So I mean, that's one of the cool things about 07 is you kind of see this growth from just teenagers to artists and producers. Yeah. You know, at a very high level. Of proficiency. So. Just kind of cool to see their narrative play out like that slowly. Definitely. Yeah. What else you got on Simple Things? That was about it, but it was pretty a big release, and it was nominated for a Mercury Music Prize. And like I said, it's still playing on the radio at restaurants and stuff today. So there's definitely obviously made waves. Definitely tracks off of that are on on TV shows, films, cooking TV shows. I've heard as well. Very good. Very nice. But it led to touring. With Sia, I think they played Glastonbury and stuff like that, big festivals. And even some of the shows, they said they had like 20 people on stage, which like must include like a mini orchestra or something as well. I think, like. Yeah. So pretty crazy. And then 2004, When It Falls is their second album, and Sam said it was a different moment in their life because the first album came together through all of these different separate songs and EPs that they did. Right. Whereas When It Falls was like, okay, you guys are successful now. You're going to go into the studio and write an album. Yeah. And I think it was like, there's always that pressure. Also, there's the follow-up pressure, you know, that used to be a thing of like, you had one successful album, now you have to. And I'm sure they experienced that because they had a strong first album. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That, you know, a lot of people were listening to, had different features. So there's a lot of energy surrounding it. Yeah. And obviously it carries on to this day. Yeah. So still making waves. Yeah. How do you think they did with their sophomore effort? I think it's great. I think it feels more cohesive to me, feels more mature. Same general style. General style. Again, for me, a lot of tracks that remind me a lot of Air. Right. Again, they got some great features on here. Moses again, Sia again, Sophie Barker again, an artist called Tina Dyko. I don't know how to pronounce, unfortunately. But yeah, I think it's a great album, and it doesn't translate for me when they talk about, like Sam talked about, it was a struggle to put together. Basically, they said there was a timeline on it. They had to deliver it by a certain time. He said they feel like they didn't have enough ideas or material to warrant finishing it, kind of thing. Right. And also, I think they had a lot of personal things in their lives that were going crazy as well. He didn't allude into what was going on there, but for me, it's great. I love it. I would listen to this album in its entirety. Same, yeah. I mean, the first three are. Yeah. It's kind of like a trilogy. I think so. Yeah. Feels like a little bit. Yeah. And you know, all three feature. The third one also features Sophia Barker and Sia. Is that right? I think so. I think Sia's pretty much been She was definitely on that one.
Yeah, she's definitely on there.
I think
Jose Gonzalez, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well. But yeah, should we spin a track off when it falls?
If you got one.
People think. I picked out this one called "Look Up," which I liked. I think it's my favorite one. Yeah, I think I obviously picked only one, so it's my favorite.
That's the one.
There we go. Look up from 07 from their second album, When It Falls. It's an instrumental, obviously. No features on that one, and it sounds like a harmonica or mouth organ or maybe accordion solo happening in there. I thought it sounded like a harmonica.
I think it's one of those things you hold and it's like a keyboard, but you blow into it.
Oh, okay. The Damon Albarn uses that a lot. Gorillaz stuff.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I can't think of the name though.
It's not Mellotron, is it? No.
I have no idea. No, I can't. I know it.
Yeah.
We're musicians. We know it.
Yeah. They exist.
Vibraphone? No. I just can't get it.
Yeah, what is it? Let's say something interesting. I'll see if I can find the name.
Okay, well, here's what I was going to say.
Okay.
Because 07, I think I was trying to do my own little research right here.
Yeah.
After the fact during our episode. Yeah. But their next album is Garden that comes up. And around this time, 2004, 07 was featured on the popular movie Garden State.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Featuring
Zach Braff.
Yes.
He starred and wrote and directed that. I saw that movie. Yes. It's a good movie.
Yeah, was that Natalie Portman's in it too, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's I think it's kind of a well-regarded playlist of music.
Yeah.
Kind of made the rounds, and a lot of, music people appreciate the awesome music that's on there, and 07 had one song on there.
Yeah.
There's a Coldplay song, the Shins have 2 songs.
Yeah, there was a lot of great music on that. It was a kind of, even watching the movie, the music was kind of integral to that movie in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, so you could find this on Spotify streaming for free. Garden State music from the motion picture.
Nice.
Came out 2014.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly sure when that came out. Obviously, the music came out and then they put it in the movie. So it was around 2004, 2005.
Right.
And then all this stuff, I'm trying to loop it together because their album in, I think, 2005 was called Garden.
Yeah.
But has no relation to Garden State, the movie.
No, they
said, coincidence.
They said they called it that because of the artwork. They're inspired by the artwork that was created for the album cover, and that's what led them to call it The Garden.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
And great. And so that has more contributions from Sia.
Yeah.
And then also Swedish star Jose Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yeah.
I guess maybe you had a couple of things to mention about that, but they had work on there that was nominated for a Grammy in 2007.
Yeah. And by the way, slight pause. Melodica is the name of it.
Melodica.
Yeah.
Okay, we
Here's
got
a picture.
There it is. Okay, we knew. I didn't need the picture. That's for everybody. But we knew what we were talking about, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I never played one. I don't dislike the sound of that, but I think it has to be used in a certain way. In the right time.
It has to be the right time, the right place.
Yeah.
And Damon uses it pretty sparingly.
He uses it a lot. Or I think he uses it a lot.
Well, at
just
good times,
the right amount of times, but he does use it a lot. Yeah.
He definitely uses it, but I just think it works for the Gorillaz kind of vibe.
Yeah.
How it's kind of spacey and ethereal, but kind of like a harmonica. So it's kind of it feels kind of folky, but also kind of electric. Or electronic, and it kind of gives it a weird little vibe in wherever it pops up. But obviously, Damon Albarn and the Gorillaz.
Well, here's an interesting
weird energy
aside because he also used it on this one-off collaboration album he did called Mali Music. He went to Mali in Africa and recorded with all of these like East African musicians. East Africa, and he used it on that as well, on that album.
Okay.
Sparingly, but it was like haunting kind of, sort of
with
sound.
the rest of the backdrop of that style of music, probably.
It was like sort of slow African-y music. The way they recorded that album, there was a lot of like room atmosphere. It sounded like a lot of musicians in a room, and then you'd hear his like haunting melodica melodies here and there.
It's kind of creeping in.
Yeah. Mali Music's a good album, actually.
I'll have to check that out too. Yeah, he got interested and he would go over to Africa pretty consistently for a while, right?
Yeah, I think through that.
To learn about their culture and the music and everything.
Yeah, and I think he was doing something like UNICEF or something like that. And that's how that album came about a little bit. Something like that.
Nice.
But,
something like that.
Something like that.
This is Rooster Grooves. We don't do research that much.
We just do something like that.
Yeah, something like that. That's good enough. Print.
Yeah.
So that's they got a Grammy or nomination in 2007 for Garden.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to say about Jose Gonzalez right now?
Yeah, I mean, so he came about in like the similar time, early 2000s.
Swedish
pop
star?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Well, not really a pop. He's like an acoustic singer-songwriter. Mm-hmm. And he had this one album out called Veneer, and it's super chill. It's basically just him and a guitar. And
pretty stripped down.
Yeah, but it's like not it's not in your face acoustic singer-songwriter music. It's very, very chill, very light, very like precious sounding in a way. Is like the way I describe it.
Precious.
Yeah, I saw a couple of tracks on here that if you want to go spin them, Slow Moves, which is the first track off of that, and a track called Crosses. They're just they're like sort of rhythmic and a little bit hypnotic, I would say. Like his music is kind of hypnotic in a way, which is interesting. And yeah, so basically he appears on a couple of tracks on this album. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So a lot.
Yeah. Or 4 tracks, and then there's an acoustic version of one of them. 2 of those tracks they said that he wrote, and 2 of them 07 wrote. And it was, I think they got put together maybe with some label people, like a meeting, and
they're like, we need some vocalists.
Yeah,
we don't have any in our band.
Here's a hip artist right now.
Sia's leaving.
Exactly. And they played some tracks to him, and he said, "Yeah, I like it. Let's do something." And Sam was a little bit like he was kind of like he described Jose Gonzalez as he can come across as shy, but Sam said he's actually like a confident person. I think in his ability and his music and stuff like that. And so he wasn't very vocal or talkative about what he liked about music. He just liked it and said he'd do it. And I think he was like very busy in that time. They said he was like in between touring, and they had a few meetings with him. He came into the studio for a couple of sessions, recorded these, and then that was it. And then they tried to get in contact with him and they couldn't get in contact with him because he was on tour and busy and stuff like that. He's a really good artist. I haven't listened to his stuff since Veneer, and Veneer came out in 2006, his solo album. But that album is just like incredible, and I kind of want to like check out what he's done since then, like recheck back in. Maybe we'll do an episode about him. I'm not sure what the sound of what he's doing is right now, sort of thing. But his collaboration with 07 just fit very neatly with what he was doing solo-wise, kind of thing, in that time.
There's just a time of synchronicities for these artists.
Yeah,
came together and they had to share that energy. They
Same with
attracted each
Sia,
other.
right?
Yeah.
Sia was a synchronicity
Right.
thing.
She needed them. They needed her, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Let's work together.
Yeah.
Make something great.
Yeah.
And everybody went on their way.
Yeah.
That's great. And then that's what we got on Garden, right? Are we on Yeah Ghost?
Well, let's play this one track.
Oh, we got a track to play. I'm sorry, but I don't mean to be rushing. We're not in a rush.
Just one track, and then we can move on. From the Garden, called Today, with Jose Gonzalez.
I'm excited.
I think it sounds kind of familiar to me. You might have heard it as well. I'm not sure, but here we go.
Sirens sounding out, are we going to war? A film of yesterday on a broken down door. Send me something real to ignore or explore, and I'll show you all the things that I saw today. The words don't mean enough for us to say. For us to say today, to steal the moment that we gave away. crack in the door. Send me something real for the way that I feel, and I'll show you all the things that I've seen. Today, the words don't mean enough for us to say, for us to say. Today, to still the moment that we gave away, we gave away. Today, we hold the light that travels into space, into space. We hold the light that travels into space. We hold the light that travels into space. We are the light that travels into space. We are the light that travels into space. We hold the light that travels into space.
Today from 07 featuring Jose Gonzalez from their second album, The Garden.
That's like their third album.
Third album.
Yeah.
Already losing track. Yeah. There we
That's
go.
all good. Yeah. So I mean, good song. He's a little bit of a, kind of pop sensibilities as far as vocals go. Like a little bit more to the poppy.
I guess, yeah. But I would encourage you to check out his album Veneer and see what you think to that. Because
That wouldn't.
you might think it's poppy, but I don't think you would. I don't know.
No,
It's
maybe I
very-
don't even know what
yeah,
I'm talking about,
yeah,
Jay.
Yeah.
I just say things and hope it sticks on the
I mean,
wall.
it was mainstream when it came out, so I guess that's pop. I think pop
Yeah,
music
I guess
is
that's,
popular,
I'm
right?
probably
Yeah.
saying something more along.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say more mainstream.
Okay, yeah.
Like just clear.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds
But
like his vocals were doubled through a lot of that.
right. Yeah, yeah.
But still kind of crisp
Yeah.
and like clean melody over the top of the music is what I mean, I guess.
I think he's one of these singers that has that recording technique on their vocals where they double it up and it has that very specific sound. Right? I think there's a few artists that do that. Trying to think.
And it's like their style point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was someone I was thinking about, but I can't think of the name right now. Where, yeah, they get that kind of thick vocal layer, like processing sort of thing. And I think it's like a doubling up. It's not a melody. It's like singing the same thing, the same or something, same register, something like that. I don't know. It's like
Like a drone note
It's kind of yeah.
over in the back.
It's
or
like
something.
adding a bass or something
Yeah.
to the high, but it's not like wildly different, right? It's like close, similar sounding.
Yeah. Okay.
If you know what I mean, like
I think.
because it's singing the same. It's not doing like a crazy melody in a higher
Yeah.
register that's off.
It's just
like
building
yeah.
a texture
yeah, building a texture. Yeah,
on the same vocal part.
Yeah.
To give it a little bit more dimension.
Yeah.
I think then we're on the same page. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what they were saying about. Sam was saying about him. He said that about Jose Gonzalez that if you listen to his solo stuff, it's very stripped down. It sounds very simple. But Sam said he's someone that clearly understands or is interested in recording techniques and how you produce things.
Right.
he said he listens to a lot of like electronic music and all kinds of music, Jose. So, but the music he does himself is like this hypnotic, acoustic kind of chill stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, no, because I was doing a little bit of research on him, and he was into, like, when he was a kid, like 12 years old, he was listening to stuff like Michael Jackson, Bob Marley and the Wailers. Yeah, that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah.
But just a little context there.
Eclectic influences. That's the interesting thing about these artists we cover is, like, you know, a lot of them listen to wildly different influences than what is the output of their music.
Come together and build something that obviously people appreciate, like stuff that 07 comes out with pretty consistently. That's
what some of people have been saying lately about 07 is like because they've kind of veered off a little bit from doing 07 albums, and they've been doing other things and still making tracks together, but they said they've been making tracks themselves thinking it was something wildly different, and then they play it to people and people will be like, oh, that's the 07
oh yeah
It's like one of those situations where it's like no matter what they do, they can't help but sound like themselves,
right?
Which is kind of maybe a compliment.
I was about to say that's a huge compliment. If you're trying to let's do a house song, you're like, look, we did something so different you wouldn't even recognize us, and everyone's like, you guys did it again. That's
exactly.
It's just like 07, but it's a house track. It's like we worked really hard to not have that happen.
Exactly, yeah.
But I mean, a testament to their abilities and their natural whatever kind of energy they draw and put through their music and communicate that to the listeners. People like to listen to it. And it's attractive and it's magnetic.
Definitely, yeah.
In an attractive way, because I know magnets can repel as well.
Yeah.
Science. So let's move on.
Yeah.
That was Garden, 2007. They got a Grammy for it. They go to Yeah Ghost.
Yeah.
What year was this, Jay?
2009.
Because I didn't put that in my notes. So 2 years later.
Yeah.
Bouts. There was a retooled mix of kind of pop influenced electronica on this guy. Ambient jazz.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a step.
Yeah, it's a step away.
At least they're trying to push
yeah.
towards something new, try something a little bit different. Here's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah. I will say it's my least favorite out of all of them. I feel like maybe I need to go back into it and listen to it for its own thing.
There's a lot of things going on. This is also, I wanted to mention this one, the first album that C is not on.
Yeah.
So she left the group prior to this album being made.
Yeah.
Between 2007 and 2009, I guess.
Yeah.
To work on her own stuff. And so, they tried to retool themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
One of their main vocalists is not with them anymore.
Yeah.
A little bit of a different energy. They're still trudging on. They still come up with good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I think again, it's like maybe an album that fell together like their first one. And here's the beginnings of some weird parallels from where they began to where they're going and everything like that. Is because apparently they said in 2007, the year after The Garden came out, they created a new band called Ingrid Ito. Some people described it as a 07 instrumental project. They said in 2009 they released an experimental instrumental EP under a different name called Cling, and it was a Cling EP as the EP that they came out with. But then eventually they basically redid those songs and put them into the 07 album, Yeah Ghost.
Okay.
So it seems like they were stepping away, trying to create different projects, being experimental, but then ultimately sort of re-pulling it back in to Yeah Ghost, which is kind of like how I would say they, when they first did Simple Things, they started with just an EP, not really calling themselves 07, or when they were writing it, but they put it out on as
commencing
07.
with the creation of stuff and then
just doing the creation,
seeing what happens and dealing with it after the work.
Yeah, and then so it seems like a similar thing happened here a little bit. Although they're further along in their career, they've done a lot of stuff at this point,
right?
But they're still creatively trying to be experimental and trying to sort of maybe move themselves out of their self-imposed boxes or whatever, like creatively. I don't know. It feels like that was kind of what they were doing here. And you can hear it, I think, on this album. It's not the same smoothness. It's funny because I think Sam at a certain point said that, you know, he wanted to create songs. He didn't want to create instrumental stuff. But on this, it feels like they've kind of gone away from the song thing and gone back more into like an experimental electronic phase of doing things, sort of thing.
Oh, there's still vocals on this album.
Yeah, there are.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they do have some features on this.
Yeah, for one, they align themselves with a new singer.
Yeah.
Eska.
Yeah.
Tung. Bro, just absolutely cannot do it. Eska. There's an M at the beginning of this name. Is that right, or is that a typo? Tungwazi.
Oh, no. She goes by Eska.
Eska?
Yeah.
But you saw that last
Eska.
name?
I didn't know.
I have it Mtungwazi.
Okay. I didn't see that.
Hey, let us know if I'm way off base or if I'm doing good research, you guys. Let me know. But Eska, either way.
Yeah. And there's another feature here from a lady called Martha Tilston, who I don't know. Jackie Daniels, not Jack Daniels, Jackie Daniels.
Jackie Dan.
Who doesn't have anything on Spotify other than the feature.
Too School for Cool?
07. Yeah, Too School for Cool. Baby Monster, I think they did a remix of a track. But yeah, it's there are vocals on this, and like the Eska track is kind of poppy, I thought.
Right, I think.
But
I think she helped put a little bit more emphasis on pop.
Yeah, that's more of a
well.
song. I think it's the second track on that called Mr. McGee.
Mr. McGee.
And it's more of a song structure, but the rest of them they have like weird build-ups, strange middles, a little bit like going a little bit crazy.
Right.
I mean, in interesting ways though.
Giving themselves a little bit of a longer leash at parts on time. At times.
Yeah.
I have a quote, Jay.
Okay.
About why it's called Yeah Ghost.
All right.
Because why is that? What does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a quote. Sam Hardeker says, "The track sounded slightly like a ghost at first. We didn't quite know how to get them to move on, you know? Somehow we had to live with that for a while. Throwing those two random words together kind of got that across for me. It was like giving a shout out to the ghosts who've been living with us in the studio for a couple of years. It felt like a haunted studio for a while."
Wow.
That's what Sam said.
I would like to think about that emotion and go listen to the album again.
That's a good little thing to have in your head as you listen to that album.
Absolutely.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Everyone go do that right now.
Frame it. Maybe that's the thing. It's like it's one of these albums where it needs a little bit of context for me.
Yeah,
Maybe,
exactly. That could be the difference for you.
Like maybe it probably wouldn't be that way if it was like an album that came out and I hadn't heard anything previously. Then I wouldn't be trying to compare it in my mind or whatever and stuff like that. I think that's what I was doing with this. I was like
going into the next album with the same context as an earlier album,
which I think which happens with artists, right? Where you kind of do that, but it's like, well, here's a reference: Kid A, Radiohead, right? A lot of people thought that was a crazy, massive departure from regular Radiohead stuff.
No guitars.
Yeah. A lot of program sounding drums and a lot of electronics. Actually, Henry from 07 has a credit as doing some sample work on Kid A.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he did like work with them. And I think Nigel Godrich has done some work with the 07 as well.
Nice.
Like Nigel Godrich being Radiohead producer. Yeah. But like for me, when I got Kid A, I loved it. I don't know. I was just like, maybe it was early. I mean, I loved OK Computer, and I thought that was experimental. I talked about it before with like Paranoid Android being like the Bohemian Rhapsody of music because of how complex the arrangement is, and all that sort of stuff. Kid A for me, I liked it. Like, and Tom York has done some solo stuff, which is kind of in the same vein as Kid A as well. Like,
like stuff Atoms for Peace. Or his Tom York solo stuff.
So Yeah, I mean it's a thing. It's like, and maybe it's just a weird jarring thing for 07 because you've been listening to this sort of chilled down tempo soul-y thing, and then now you get to this album that's like, is it? What is? It's not the same vibe, but. Yeah.
And you come to this crossroads with almost every band, and the fans
true. Yeah,
like if you don't change, then your audience is like, they never change. They do the same thing every time.
Oh yeah.
But if you change, then they're like, well, they changed. It's not why I like this band. They went a different direction.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want them to do?
Yeah.
You lose either way, Jay.
Yeah. It's true.
I'm just kidding. We're all winners. Okay. That's all I got on Ghost. That's their last LP, right?
Yeah.
Full length LP.
Their last full length, 2019 that came out, I think.
Let's go with that. I don't.
Oh no, 2009, even longer ago.
Oh yeah, just 10 years off.
Yeah, just 10 years off. Since then, in 2014, they came out with an EP called Simple Science. And then in 2018, they released one track called Mono. And in 2019, they did Swimmers, which is a track that you picked out on the playlist here.
Yeah, that was another one I put on our list of potential songs to play.
Yeah.
Because it was one as I was looking through songs and stuff, I realized I'd already liked this song.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Based off like a random playlist that Spotify was playing even up to years ago. I just had it sitting in my phone with a little heart next to it that I hit during a random playlist at some point in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is 07.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
So that's a good track. Cool.
I haven't heard it actually, so we might play out with that.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like it.
And their most recent thing was in August of 2020, a single called Shadows. And in October of 2020, they released an EP called Shadows as well, with 4 tracks.
Nice.
This is what I say about them coming full circle a little bit. It's like they've done all these albums, the last full-length one being 2009. But then since then, they've just been doing EPs and songs. And I'm not entirely sure why that is. I think it's partly their creative process. It's partly how long they've been going. It's been like 20 years.
I mean, at this point, they've been a band for a minute.
It might also be like the scene of music right now as well, where albums, even though every artist is still prizing the album as a body of work to work on and release, the listeners are not consuming the albums in the same way, or like the mass listeners aren't. It's like it's about
artists
songs.
still realize how valuable it is to release, and how awesome it is to release a body of work all together, meant to be listened to in this order.
And I think true fans are as well, like the people that will go to the live shows probably listen to the albums, but for everyone else, it's about the song culture. So I haven't heard them talk about that, but I feel like it's 20 years on now. We're in a different time. But it seems like from what I have read about, I think it might be more to do with their creative process. And I think Henry did say in an interview, like they're older now and it takes them like longer to like dig something, like to be into something.
Yeah.
So it doesn't come as like quickly to them anymore to like, oh, here's something we wrote, we like it. It's like, it's the process is slowed down a bit for them now, where they're just like, we did this, but we're not like so hot about it to release it.
Yeah.
Or like, it's like
they're jaded.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know what's going on in their lives. I don't know if they're like super financially successful from all of this or not.
Right.
I don't know. Like, yeah. I don't know if they're like having to do other stuff to pay the bills.
I mean, I wonder.
Like, yeah.
But a band in this state, of accomplishment.
Yeah.
They should have been getting paid. Like their music, like I said, we heard it in restaurants and stuff 20 years after the fact.
And in films and TV shows, a lot of their tracks get used.
Yeah, like we said, Garden State. So, if they're not getting paid enough, this is a band that I would say they deserve to, and they've put in the work. Yeah. And they've, like, their music has paved out a little space for 07 in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
So,
well, here's who will you know how I like to throw back my references to previous episodes?
Oh, yes. What do we got?
I'm going all the way back to episode 1.
Ooh. Khruangbin?
Khruangbin, yeah. DJ, drummer from Khruangbin. I remember this because it stuck with me somehow. He was quoted as saying, I'm paraphrasing obviously, if you're looking to get rich out of music, like forget about it. It's not going to happen. And that's him from Khruangbin, and we think they're doing pretty well.
Yeah,
like,
and they're on tour. They're
always on
albums
tour
out.
though. Is the thing I see. They're always crazy touring schedule,
and
so,
that goes to show that's the way artists are making money right now is by relentlessly touring and selling merchandise on the tour.
Yeah,
not the album sales.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame.
Yeah,
and I mean that's rough because it's from what I know. I've never really been on a tour, but it's rough on your body and your mental state.
Yeah, I mean,
it can be depending on how you take care of yourself.
Yeah, I was trying to imagine it the other day. I was like, I've always sort of kind of, in music, I want to do everything once, at least once.
Yeah.
Maybe more, but like, depends what it is. Definitely for me, I want to play a big music festival once. That'd be cool. Like, on the big stage, with the sea of crowd.
Yeah, totally.
There's nothing, as a performer, that's probably like the pinnacle of performing to perform in the largest crowd possible.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a whole nother things to unpack about that. It's like, well, why would you want to do that? Do you have some ego? I don't know.
Well, yeah.
But like as a performer, you want to play for people. And I thought about this the other day. It's like, well, touring, and then I started to imagine what it might be like to go on tour, and it's like, well, maybe the reality would actually suck because you're like now you're living your day-to-day life doing the things you have to do, like I am as well and all that. If you go on tour, you suddenly pause all of that, and now you're just in this like bubble of a thing for like maybe a year, where you're just going from city to city, playing the same songs every night, getting trashed or trying not to get trashed after the show. Like it's like trying to eat healthy. I know Khruangbin talked about this as well, like trying to eat healthy whilst on tour.
And not maintain your healthy habits.
Yeah. So I could imagine it being just very kind of tiresome to not be able to just like, I'm just going to take a week off. I'm just going to go home.
Just stop for a second.
Yeah, like it could probably be a bit much. Like, yeah.
I think I would thrive, Jay. Let's do it.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know until you're doing it, right? So,
I mean, yeah. That's why we got to do it.
Yeah.
Because we got to find out.
Yeah.
I think I'm down.
Well, should we play out with swimmers? Because maybe we're swimmers.
Maybe.
In the sea of touring.
Yeah. I'm swimming on the top of the crowd, surfing. Maybe, yeah, we swimmers or we
That's
surfing?
the name of your song, isn't it?
Oh yeah, surfing in the sea.
Great track, by the way. Check that out on Spotify. The Candy Flowers.
The Candy Flowers out everywhere.
Surfing in the Sea. It's really. I still want to make a music video for that.
Hey, let's do it. 2022.
Yeah.
I would be down. All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. If you guys got any tips, info on 07, we'd like to hear about it.
Yeah.
Hit us up at the email, Jay.
rootstogrooves@signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com. Go rootstogrooves.com as well. Go to Twitter. We just opened the Twitter.
Oh.
Username is rootstogrooves. Rootstogrooves on Instagram as well.
Tweet us.
Yeah.
And we will tweet you.
Yeah, it's time to tweet. I'm going to, we've got some interesting things I'll talk to you about, and then we'll tell the listeners about them.
Okay, we got to go, guys. Got business. Thank you for listening. We love you. We're here for you.
Yeah.
We're playing out with Swimmers by 07.
Featuring Jem Cook. We'll see you next time.
Stories unfold.
moving slow. We're just killing time. And we know this fear is a crime. Surrender to your love. Surrender to your heart. Surrender. We are swimmers, caught in the tide, pitch black river, shadows of night, into the night, beautiful swimmers, losing the fight, constant river, shadows of night, into the night. Shaking the grass, all alone, so far from the path. Do you know, I see it so clear. Yes, I know, it's happening here. Surrender to your love, surrender to your heart. We are swimmers, caught in the tide, pitch black river, shadows of night, into the night, beautiful swimmers, losing the fight, constant river, shadows of night, into the night. We are swimmers, caught in the tide, pitch black river, shadows of light, into the night, beautiful swimmers, losing the fight, constant river, shadows of light, into the night.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signl Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's signl radio.com.